got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear the thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Out of the blue, a member of the Titan crew reached out to me. Even some months now since the tragedy, this person, I won't be revealing the name, but I will be showing some of the footage and sharing their story. This person still feels troubled by a sixth sense. You may wonder why some people didn't know or acted against their instincts. Well, this is some person who did know, somebody who did smell that something was off. First of all, here's a photo provided of the bunk beds for OceanGate tourists paying $250,000 a pop. Next, I'm going to share this person's story verbatim as it was sent to me, and finally we'll examine some footage recorded of a team meeting. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So these are the words of someone who was on mission 3, verbatim. I spent an hour talking to Stocktun on the last night of our expedition, and he told me about the problems he had marketing the dives. I remember specifically he spoke of times fathers had booked trips for birthdays and one person would refuse to go and the trip would be cancelled. The Polar Prince was Spartan, to say the least. Stocktun said that there was an issue that people felt that they were spending a lot of money and wanted to be treated well. And so he says, I'll forward you pics of my cabin, and that's the picture you've seen. There were bunk beds very short. He had a plan that he would offer alternative first-class ways to get to the Titanic site and leave the Titan there. There absolutely was discussion that the waves had damaged the electronics on the trip to the site. Okay, now this is me speaking. You may have missed prior video footage by the same individual showing crew literally using duct tape to apparently fix something wrong with a platform. I played you a short clip of that right at the beginning of this video. And now back to his message. He also said to me, and I assume he means Stocktun, he spoke to me about lawsuits and how he refused to settle, and he felt people used lawsuits as a means to make money. In terms of vids from that last dive, looking at the timestamp, it took a very long time to get us out of the sub. I've saved the most disturbing thing about the expedition until now. After the third dive, I felt uneasy about the whole thing and walked up to a crew member that stood alone. I said, something doesn't feel right about the sub. Something is telling me not to stay for the next dives. Now, according to this person, he says, I will swear to you, he said, you should listen to that voice. He proceeded to tell me that maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but within weeks, that sub will fail and everyone on board will be killed. He told me the list of problems, from not being tested to no way to exit to the danger of fire. He said he would never get in the sub, and he also said, or he claimed, Stocktun knows how I feel. At one point, Stocktun walked up to us, this is according to the writer, and made small talk before walking away. There was something odd about our dives. The first one was a test dive, and the third one definitely was not scheduled to go to Titanic. One of the passengers gave up his seat to the YouTube blogger that posted video of the dive. PH was not on any of the dives, and that position was I think he means in that position was an OceanGate programmer. You can see the way Stocktun interacted with them. Then his concluding remarks are, I was so eager to get off that ship that when XXX told me that they intended to keep $125,000 of my fee, I guess 50%, because they had made a dive. I didn't protest. I just wanted to get off. In fact, the videographer asked me to record testimonial, and I said, I think I'd rather not. So that is what he claims. And then the final thing that he says is, I told other passengers what the crew member told me before the Titan exploded, as well as texted and emailed friends and family. I felt lucky to be alive. Now, I think if that's true, then there's potentially a legal case for certain members of the family, certain family members. You know, if there was a sense from the staff that things were not above board, then I think the question that remains is, to what extent did the crew in general know about this, and to what extent did they bear a responsibility, if any, to the paying clients? In other words, did they have a duty of care to communicate what they knew or not? And then I suppose you could also say, did Stocktun Rush have a duty of care to communicate what he knew, and did he? Did he communicate that? Of course, to some extent, what is in this message to me is hearsay. I did Google the person who sent it to me. And of course, the fact that he's sending images of the bunk beds makes me feel that it passes at least a minimal credibility test. But of course, we don't know for sure that everything is true here. I do hope that the investigators have spoken to crew members such as this person. Now, you may also recall that this community suggested something may have gone wrong even before the dive, either in terms of damage to the craft or to the platform, or both. Well, now we've heard from someone who was there, apparently confirming this, where he says there absolutely was discussion that the waves had damaged the electronics on the trip to the site. In any event, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll play out with footage recorded by this person of a team meeting, and you can kind of just get another glimpse at the vibe, the atmosphere, and the sense of what was said and how things are being dealt with.
Water in there. So, interesting thing we'll have to look at. Emily, I've got you as the forward dinghy deck coordinator. So people call for parts, they're not people there. We want to make sure when we're going on and off the platform, that prep time should just be for checking, not doing. We have some doing to do as well. So a little bit non-standard, but we try to make sure everything is done before the day starts. And that 1 hour vessel check is just a chance to double check everything. Nothing should be wrong at that point. This is a little bit of a blend. So this will be a relatively short brief. There are a number, if you can see here, a whole bunch of sequence of events you can look at to help me stay on track. So I'll be the mission director. Kyle will be supporting. Let me go through a little bit of some of the roles. Comms and tracking will be Wendy, who will show up here shortly. She's going to be supported by Gary. A couple of things are going to be multiple roles. This plan goes for much of the day. So, Tim will be working the platform, but he's also, we got him in another spot. So there may be some cases where you go to different spots. We're actually going to move this to a Gantt chart format so we can sort of look on resource allocation, but Excel's as good as we got for now. Scott will be the pilot, Jerome will be the co-pilot. Primary purpose is going to be to test the new software that's on the system, which we do with the sub locked in, block on the sub so it can't get off. I'll show you that block after the meeting. They will test it, and we will make sure we have communications with them. If we don't, so for those who are new, when the sub goes down, if they don't get communications, Scott will do one long blow, and we'll see the bubbles go, which means they're fine. If he does 4 blows, we bring them up. So if we don't have communications, he'll still do the test. If we have 1 blow, that's fine. He'll go through, he'll test the sonar, and test all the stuff. When we get up, we'll find out what was wrong with the communications. But we have 2 different methods of text messaging him, so I think we'll be fine. Assuming everything goes well, he's tested, and Scott decides that he's ready to go, he'll text up, ready to depart the platform. One of the divers will go down, he'll pull the block. Now he's ready to go. He will then exit. There's a spot near here that's at 117 meters, which should be a nice depth. There's some interesting, ground formations down there. He'll go out, he'll go to the bottom, he'll, again, test the systems, test the communication, maybe do a little cruising around, see how the sub controls, and then he will drop some of the lead weights. We've got two steel weights that we drop on the Titanic, make sure those motors work. The sub will come to the surface. He will motor over to, there'll be a bit of a challenge getting the captain to, part of the exercise here is getting the captain comfortable with what he's got to do with the ship, because he's going to have to maneuver the platform back around. So he'll have to get some experience. There'll probably be quite a delay. When he gets close, Scott will come in and land. I'll get into this in a little more detail. Going through the roles in the sub, we have Stephen, Eduardo, and Grant. After this, we'll have weigh-in. We have a scale.
In the puzzle room, there's a scale.
In the puzzle room, there's a scale. The Stewie dinghy captain will be PH. There he is. Diver 1 is Aaron. Diver 2 will be Ann. All in Stewie. Rory, you're the dive coordinator. Where's Rory? So I'm not expecting you to be geared up other than warm and ready and watching them and helping them get in and out. Max captain will be Victor. Platform operator will be Tim, assisted by Kiera. We'll go out, Kyle will go out in particular with you early on to make sure the system's functioning, and I didn't chop on the lines the other day when I drove over it. But since Tim is the man of the Tim valves, he should understand the system better than most. Except for the things we changed when he wasn't watching. And I've got you on ATM in case we need it. That's going to be more geared in the dive boat. So I'll get back to sort of the sequence of when you're going to need that. Because you're going to go in early. When we go, the first thing that's happening is the dive boat's going to go. You get out there, you can get ready, and you can take the blades off. It does